I listened to a podcast recently that said if you say "hey guys" at the beginning of a video, it means like you're totally dead. So how do we start this? I don't know. I just ignore you and just get straight into it. I think that's what I'm meant to do. So no hello for you. I'm not saying hello. So today we are going to be talking about the ribbon rain screen, which is my first sculptural piece in London, permanent anyway, which I'm super excited about. Today I thought I'd take you through the whole process of the ribbon sculpture. I'm not entirely sure how many of you guys will be interested in this, but this is the kind of video that I would be like, yes, put it in my brain, give me everything. So let's do it, shall we? Beginning. So I was approached by Argent, who are a large scale developer. I'd never worked with them before, and they asked me to bid on the project. But before they even approached me, things happened in the background, and I only know this because I've subsequently become friendly with the people at Argent, and I asked, how did you find me? How did this happen? Before they approached anyone, they did research themselves and created a long list of artists. They were looking for someone who integrated the community in their work, someone who lived like in London, preferably North London. They created a whole presentation where they had gone through various artists' websites and through their Instagrams and presented to the project team all these potential artists that they could ask to bid. And then from that, they created a shortlist. And then they invited people on the shortlist to bid for the project. When I received the brief, I was actually in a bid ban. I sometimes have moments in the year where I just refuse to do any bids because they're so soul destroying. But then I continued reading and they're like, we will be paying you £1,000 for this bid. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? I am in, sign me up. It's such a game changer when people are willing to pay for my time to bid. I will bid and I will put everything I have into that bid. Clients, other clients, if you are watching this, this is how it is done. They did the research, they did the legwork, they were the ones that went scouting out for artists, then they shortlisted, then they paid us to bid. I mean, just that. Maybe I should have asked Argent to sponsor this video. I genuinely believe that this is the right approach for commissioning artists. I appreciate it. Thank you, Argent. In the brief, they had exactly what they were looking for. So some sort of screen that ties into the kiosk and acts as this They specifically said that they wanted to integrate the local community in the design development process, and also there was a lot in the brief about promoting being active and sports. So with all that in mind, I was beginning to think of like, okay, well, how can I create a workshop that has a physical activity that kicks off the design development for this screen? I started thinking about like PE equipment and things that I loved using when I was a kid. And for me, hands down, the best PE equipment, the thing that I would lose my mind when they brought it out was the ribbons. I don't know why I love the ribbons so much, but I just love pretending I was a gymnast. That's the idea that I pitched for the bid. I did some high-level research on how we might be able to translate that, looking at different precedents of like twisted metal and stuff, and packaged that all together as my bid. The fee was set, so I didn't have to worry about that. The program was set, so I didn't have to worry about that. It was a bid that didn't have that additional element of competition. It was just all about your ideas, which was great. And then I submitted the bid, and then a few weeks, maybe even a month later, I heard back that I had won, which was awesome. So then it was all about getting started. So the first thing that I did was arrange for the first workshop. and I made sure that I brought someone else onto my team. So I brought a photographer onto my team called Tim Joblin. So I ran the workshop, making all the ribbons with the kids, having lots of conversations, talking to the parents about the development. It was a really lovely day. It was so nice as well because across the day, lots of people started filling up the park with ribbons, and there was girls skating around on their roller skates with ribbons. It was so visually pleasing and playful and fun, and that was like the whole spirit that I wanted to like harness and like capture in the sculpture itself. So what I did next was I basically took all those photographs and I took specifically looking at the ribbons, and I did drawings of these ribbons specifically just to really capture the essence of like how they moved, how they went back and forth and curled. And the next stage was that I wanted to translate those drawings into a physical model, and again thinking, how can I capture that essence in something that's still? I knew that we were going to be using something like steel for the full size sculpture. So I got some aluminium sheets. Let me see if I can find them to show you. Okay, this is what I got. Show you here. These are the aluminium sheets that I use to model make the ribbons, and even though they're it's like aluminium, you can just cut them with scissors, like you can see here. But they acted in a way that was actually like representative of what you could do with steel. So basically I didn't want to go to a computer and just design something that I didn't think was replicable at a large scale. So I essentially did this process. I'll put some photos up of the ones that I did, but I used this aluminium and then used different ways of manipulating the metal to create these. Where's the camera on this thing? Oh my god, I'm actually like a beauty YouTuber. What? I created a scale model of the kiosk and just tested out loads of these little mini ribbons, and thought about how we could like bring it out into the floor and how it could all integrate together. And then the next stage was basically to go back to drawing, but now I could draw something that I was pretty sure was like replicable at scale. So I came up with the elevations and also some high level design details about how I thought the ribbons could like go into the floor. It was very clear that my scope of works was to only do design intent only, and this is when white walls sort of came up in conversation. I did actually know White Walls, the fabrication team, because I had looked up who had made Holly Hendry's work at the Delaware Pavilion that I saw recently. That was so nice, and I was like, I wonder who made that. And I found out it was White Walls. So when they were suggested to build my artwork, I was like so excited because I was like, oh my God, I would love for them to build my artwork. I've seen what they do. They make fantastic work. I know for some artists it can feel like a bit of a disconnect for someone else to be making your work, but because I think I came via the architecture route, for me this feels very normal. If anything, it's quite aspirational. Like, I don't want my skill set to limit the possibilities of my artwork. I am more than happy to have other people build what I design. We got to a place where we created something called employers' requirements. The next stage was to get the drawings finalised so we could go to planning. My work was then translated into a digital model by the fabrication team. Also, no thanks for modelling those in 3D. They literally said it was quicker making them out of steel than it was to 3D model them, and I'm not surprised. During this process, to be able to get signed off by planning, there was additional things that we needed to think about. Basically, we needed to think about secure by design, and the only issue that we'd have here is basically, could someone use the sculpture to like climb onto the roof? We just needed to be aware of things like handholds and footholds, and could you actually use the sculpture to get up on the roof? The next thing that needed to be considered was kids' safety. So it's absolutely not play equipment, but it is adjacent to a playground, and you know, children be children around. So we had to make sure that, you know, finger traps, head trap, torso traps, which was a new one on me, were all considered. When the fabricators got involved, they started liaising with the architects who had designed the kiosk to talk about all the connections and how those are going to work, how you're going to be able to undo a ribbon, take it away. Maybe if it gets damaged, you might need to repowder coat it and then pop it back into place. There's also additional coordination with the landscape team because they were like manholes. So we needed to make sure that the ribbons didn't hit any of the manhole covers. And also think about how these ribbons actually got physically inlaid into the flooring itself, which was black tarmac. Because the floor ribbons were essentially laser cut, it means that those could be replicated exactly the same. So what they basically did was laser cut some sacrificial ply, which they placed in situ on site. Then they laid all the tarmac, they broke out the ply, shuttering, I suppose. Is that what you would call it in this situation? Anyway, the ply became sacrificial, that got broken, taken out, which meant they were ready for the exact laser cut pieces to be slotted into the tarmac and like fit perfectly. That was very cool, very exciting. I actually felt a bit emotional. A bit emotional when I saw those ribbons. You know, when you've worked on something for so long and it's like been in your imagination, and then it's been drawings, and then it's been 3D models and back and forth and changes, and I'm like, oh my god, there it is, it exists, like we made a thing. I don't know how I feel. I just feel like it's taken a long time to get here, you know, long time, and I'm just feeling really happy. And I just hope this is like the beginning of something, you know, like I would love to do more of this. And yeah, I don't know, we'll see. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed.